schools in the city of Morelia, the students assemble altars to preserve and diffuse our traditions. Some schools put on the altars in plazas, calzadas, and public spaces, as well as inside their installations. Particularly in our institution, Universidad Nova España have promoted the assembling of altars since many years ago, and are realized annual contests and cultural activities during a week related with the Noche de Muertos. In this edition, we had workshops on traditional Purépecha altars, painting on calaveritas, photographic exposition, sing contests, photography, altars and costumes, lottery game, and a tour for many Purépecha towns that are around the Pátzcuaro Lake. As you can see in this photographic set, have been assembled different altars, thanks to the effort of our student community, who, being a true artist, employ several days in the assembling of these beautiful altars. The altar is one of the most important parts in the celebration of the Día de Muertos, because it's believed that the souls of the deceased come back to enjoy the delicacies, beverages, ornaments, and other elements that conform the altars. It's a way to get back together the dead with the alive people. The altar offering is designed in a staggered way, with many levels that represent the Mesoamerican's universe. Some people put the offering on a table with two levels that symbolize the sky and the earth. If the altar have 3 levels, it's added the purgatory. And the last one is the altar of 7 levels, which represent the steps to get the eternal rest. Other elements that are put in the offering are photographies of the deceased and other elements that identify them as clothes and job articles, pan de muerto, sugar calaveritas, a glass of water, a casserole with salt and other with ground or cinder, his favorite food, and many fruits. Every element in the altar has a meaning. The flower offering has elements from the Purépecha worldview. A frame is covered with cempasúchil flowers, and in the interior is formed a cross symbolizing the 4 cardinal points and also the union of the sky, the earth, and the purgatory. The candles represent the fire element and help to light the path of the souls in their returning. The smoke that is obtained from the aromatic copal means the assumption of the soul with the gods, because the smoke is their aliment. The salt represents the baptisms and helps to avoid the body's destruction. The glass of water represents the fount of life and help to relax the thirst of the souls after their long travel. The petate, by its square form, demarcate a religious space. The candies, as sugar calaveritas and the amaranth alegrías, are a satire of the fact of dying, because these candies are ate. The minced paper is put to evidence with its movement the air's presence.
If one turns to the exterior of the beautiful city of Morelia, you will find a grand part of the state of Michoacán has Purépecha communities and towns where the clothing, language, and customs of the people are still appreciated on a daily basis. In Michoacán, the Night of the Dead is lived with great passion and intensity because it celebrates the conjunction between life and death. Our plantations make that a few months before, the Michoacán landscapes are covered with beautiful flowers of cempasúchil, of orange and purple colors that delight the eye of all those visitors and travelers. If we go into the communities, we will find the most typical ways to honor our dead. In those places, people gather to share food and to accompany the deceased in cemeteries, adorning each site with beautiful offerings, flowers, and candles. People also dress up to represent the dead and place beautiful altars in their homes. The collection is one of the oldest customs corresponding to the preparations of the Night of the Dead. It is a spontaneous collection made by inhabitants of the region among their own community to gather the offerings, flowers, and candles. People also dress up to represent the dead and play Teruscan and Campanari are respectively the Purepecha translation of theft and collection. In most of the communities that practice this tradition takes place in the early hours of October 30th or 31st. Arches are built with the product of Teruscan and Campanari in honor of the dead who have no one to remember them. It is usually placed at the entrance of the pantheons. In most villages, it takes place on October 31st or November 1st. The Quetzaltecawa, or ceremony for the recent dead, the literal translation is to offer, to put something on the table. It is a special offering for those who died during the current year. This ceremony is the most widespread in the Purepecha peoples, and it is known as the vigil ceremony. But unlike the vigil, the offering for the recent dead is made in the house where they live. There is also the vigil of the little angels. In the cemeteries, the people of the community watch over those who died as children or without marriage. This ceremony takes place mainly at dawn on November 1st, although some towns do it on October 31st. An interesting fact is that in some villages, this vigil is in charge of children and is the way in which they are introduced to the tradition of their elders. Did you know that the best known element of the Night of the Dead of Michoacan is the ritual of the velación, a practice that takes place in the cemeteries of more than 20 towns on the lake of shore of Pátzcuaro, including several islands of the lake, as well as in some communities in the interior of the state. It is the best known ritual because it takes place in public spaces, pantheons, that are illuminated throughout the night and until dawn. Finally, the most prominent ritual is the Vigil of the Deceased. It takes place in cemeteries and is the best known ceremony internationally among all those practiced in Michoacan. Most communities carry it out from dusk on November 1st until dawn on November 2nd. In others, it begins on the night of October 31st and ends in the early morning on November 1st.